This is how you're going to make money watching this weekend's UFC card. Diego Lopes versus Gene Silva is the main event. I'm going to go through the entire card, giving out my underdog of the week, which for the record last week hit, no problem, Ante Dalajar. We also had a prop for him inside one round that we gave out. We had many other props, Caro Fernandez KO. We had a great week last week. I'm going to keep the ball rolling this week, so stick around, guys, because I guarantee you follow my advice. I'm really liking the picks for these this week, so stick around, follow these picks, and I promise you guys are going to make some money. If not, come back and roast the fuck out of me. But we're going to go through our lock of the week first, as always. If you guys are new, our lock of the week, we have a requirement that it is plus money. So I'm not like one of these retards on here that are giving out $1.30 prop of the week. So if you're in America, um, if you put $100, you get back 30 profit. That's just stupid. So we're going to start with leg number one. Leg number one is Diego Lopes versus Gene Silva fight to start round two. So the fight only has to go 5 minutes. It has to go to round two. Um, a lot of people are picking Gene Silva by KO, Gene Silva inside 2, 3 rounds. He's not going to knock out Diego Lopes inside one round. It will not happen. He didn't do that to Charles Jourdain. He didn't do that to Bryce Mitchell. Um, One thing I want to talk about for guys that are betting on Gene Silva this weekend, and what a lot of people need to be careful with, when a guy has a big jump up in competition and he lacks the experience that Diego has, a lot of them tend to crumble. We just saw this happen with Mauricio Huffy. We saw this happen with Prates. You fight a guy in Ian Gary who's, been in those later rounds, who's got the experience against different style of opponents, grapplers, southpaws, orthodox strikers. Um, Gene Silva, there's a big difference from going from fighting Bryce Mitchell to Diego Lopes in one fight. Now, Bryce Mitchell, his best win at featherweight was Dan Ige, Edson Barboza. These are guys who aren't ranked right now. So his best win was a non-ranked win at featherweight. He just went down to bantamweight. He got dropped badly and hurt by Said Nurmagomedov. He grinded out a 29-28 decision. So it's not that good of a win. I mean, it's a good win. You got the finish, but it's not the wins that Diego's got. Diego's had a very close fight with Movzal Evloev on short notice. That's very impressive. He's got a dominant win over Brian Ortega, even though Brian Ortega he's had a couple of losses lately. You know, Diego Lopes barely got touched by him. Obviously, he's got that win over Ige on short notice, but the Ortega fight dropped him multiple times, hurt him. Um, Not to mention Ortega submitted Yair not long ago. Yair's still in the top five. But the one thing here is a lot of the times I don't like picking the guy who's being jumped up in competition so early. And Gene Silva's never been to rounds 4 and 5 before. Never. Not in his life. Diego Lopes is coming off of a perfect, like, kind of prep fight for Gene Silva. Obviously, he's fighting for a title. It's a much higher level fight, but he's got that experience now under his belt. He's got the experience of the bright lights, the main event, fighting for a belt, going into rounds 4 and 5 and really have to push. And having a somewhat close fight with Volkanovski, he hurt him multiple times. It was competitive. He won 1 to 2 rounds in that fight, but Gene Silva, he's been taken down by Charles Jourdain. He's lost rounds before. He's got some losses on the regional scene, obviously, as does Diego Lopes. But the number one thing here, I feel, is the experience, the IQ, and the level of competition for Lopes. The level of competition is just so much higher, so much higher. I mean, you've got 3 rounds against Movzal Evloev. You've got 3 rounds against Brian Ortega, UFC Noche the Sphere. You've got 5 rounds against Volkanovski. Now, Volkanovski is a very similar style of opponent to Gene Silva. They're shorter than Diego. They're both orthodox. They both like to box. Volkanovski is a better wrestler, obviously, but he doesn't tend to go to the wrestling um, as much as if a wrestler. Um, Both don't throw many kicks. Volk kind of throws the calf kick out every now and then, and the lead head kick, but not too often. They're very boxing heavy, orthodox opponents, which it's a very good prep because he's been in there with a guy very similar to Gene. Volkanovski could almost be quicker than Gene. He may be quicker. I feel like Gene probably has the power advantage here, but the things I like for Diego, like I said, he's been to the championship rounds. He's got that experience under his belt. I feel like he's not going to play into the game of Gene Silva here. When Gene's doing that clapping and he's trying to like touch gloves, I feel like Diego's not going to tap into that. He's going to front kick him to the body. He's going to kick his leg. Oh, he's trying to touch his hands, touch gloves with him. Bang, teep to the body. Um, I feel like Diego's not going to play into that. And if Gene plays into that too much, and he can't find that knockout blow against an experienced, well-rounded guy, he's going to struggle. So be careful betting on this fight. I'm not necessarily picking Gene Silva. Diego Lopes was a consideration for underdog of the week, but man, I see this fight going long. I see either man winning by decision. If I had to pick, Diego definitely can win. So don't be surprised if he gets the job done. If it goes to the ground, Diego has an advantage. He has great submissions, so if he can get the takedowns or take Gene's back, Gene could be in trouble here. I feel like Diego Lopes is intelligent enough defensively to not get hit clean by Gene. Um, yeah, the experience, his last fight, is a very good learning curve for him. I feel like there's a very high chance we see Diego win this. Honest, if I had to pick, man, I don't know. I think this fight's going to go the distance. I think either man's going to win a close 3-2 decision. Um, my heart's telling me Diego, but yeah, it's a hard pick. But to wrap that all up, leg number one for our lock of the week is fight to start round two. So we just need the fight to go 5 minutes. We need the bell to ring in round two, and that's leg number one done. Now leg number two, Jared Gordon money line. Now Jared Gordon's a guy I'm very confident in this week. He's probably my if I had to bet on one fighter, it would be Jared Gordon. Hufa Garcia's not any good. He's been TKO'd by Grant Dawson. He had a close fight in his last fight against Vince Pichel, who's a 40-year-old can. Jared Gordon, he's got power in his hands. He just had a very impressive KO win against Thiago Moises. I was very impressed by that performance. Before that, he beat Nasrat Hakaras, but the obese judges said otherwise. Um, Obviously, everyone knows he beat Paddy Pimblett. Very underrated guy. He's got solid boxing. He's got a decent chin, good cardio, good pressure, good pacing. I feel like he's going to break Rafa Garcia here and get the KO in rounds 2 or 3. Very confident here. Feel like Rafa Garcia is going to try and mix in some takedowns and get the fight to the ground because he knows the threat that Jared opposes on the feet. I feel like Jared's going to be able to stuff those takedowns of Huffer, break him slowly, get to round two, round three. I'm predicting a round two knockout. Very, very confident in Jared this week. So if you guys like to, make some long shot parlays or do some, multiple leg parlays, by all means add Jared Gordon. Very confident in Jared Gordon this week. So Jared Gordon money line head to head. That is our second leg for lock of the week. And our third leg to get it over plus money is going to be Tatiana Suarez money line. Now, I really like Amanda Lemos. I think she's one of those girls, one of the few girls in the UFC that actually have serious knockout power. She's very quick. She's got very good hands, and she can catch her. But I feel like Tatiana here, similar to the Diego Lopes, she's got the experience. She just had 5 hard rounds with Zhang Weili. She won 1 out of 5, but she got dominated the other 4. But it's a very good experience for her. She was able to get Zhang Weili down at times. Amanda Lemos has been taken down in the past. Her last fight, Amanda Lemos fought Lasman Lucindo. Amanda Lemos was actually my underdog of the week for that, and we cashed on that. But she did go to the grappling. I did pick her because of the experience and the power advantage in that fight, but she did get out grappled in the 3rd round, and I believe so. It might have been a close round. I can't really remember, but she has been taken down in the past. Tatiana Suarez is a great wrestler. I feel like Tatiana's going to be able to get Amanda Lemos down and do what she wants to her necessarily. I feel like she could get her in a crucifix, get a TKO, get into mount, start landing shots on her and take her back and choke her. I'm pretty confident I'm very confident in Tatiana Suarez this week. I feel like she's got the experience under her belt. She knows what she needs to do here. Amanda Lemos doesn't have the best takedown defense. That is our third leg for lock of the week. So just to clarify and summarize our lock of the week, leg number one is Tatiana Suarez money line. Leg number two is Jared Gordon money line, and leg number three is Gene Silva versus Diego Lopes fight to start round two. Pair all those three together, that's our lock of the week parlay. That's going to get you over plus money. Enjoy those winnings. Now, our underdog of the week, after heavy consideration, is going to be Diego Ferreira. Now, if I'm being honest, I was actually looking at two of these guys. When I see odds, before I'm picking underdog of the week, when I see the odds and it's even or one guy's a slight favorite, one guy's a slight underdog, I look at both of them because it's often that the odds flip. Diego Ferreira, you just got to pick him here. Alexander Hernandez, I picked him to beat Chase Hooper in his last fight. He beat him. He chinned him in round one, as I predicted. Diego Ferreira, though, we're going to start with Hernandez. We'll start with Hernandez before we get into Ferreira. Hernandez, I struggle to pick him with confidence. He had that good win against Chase Hooper, who's not any good. Chase Hooper's a nothing burger on the feet. Terrible striking. Spins more than the more significant shots landed per round, to be honest. But before that, Hernandez is coming off of a fight with Kurt Holloway, which I honestly thought he lost. I thought if you watch that back, it's pretty clear that he lost 2 rounds to 1. I actually had Kurt Holloway as an underdog of the week, and I believe he got robbed in that. The fight before, he had a split decision with Austin Hubbard on short notice. These are two guys in Kurt Holloway and Austin Hubbard who you're having very close, arguable decisions with, who are struggling to get back into the UFC, who, fought on the Ultimate Fighter, who's been cut, who's came back. These aren't, good wins. Holloway hasn't won as of late. Neither has Hubbard. Hubbard's just coming off of another loss. And then the two losses in particular that really stick out to me, three, is the Damon Jackson loss, which was only a year ago. Damon Jackson's terrible. He's out of the UFC now. The Bill Algeo and the Billy Quarantillo loss. Those two, Billy Quarantillo and Bill Algeo, are some of the two worst featherweights I've ever seen. Worst lightweights have bounced up and down, but bro, they are fucking trash. Like, Billy Quarantillo is fucking terrible. He is so slow on the feet. The fact that he got TKO'd by him, that's fucking beyond me. Bill Algeo is terrible as well. Alexander Hernandez does have a bit of a cardio issue. It's always evident when it gets to round three. He does struggle. His output does drop. Diego Ferreira here does have a higher output. He has more significant strikes landed per minute. The only thing that is really like somewhat putting me away from Diego Ferreira is his age. If he was like 35, 36, I'd be picking him with raging confidence. But I'm still confident in the pick. Diego Ferreira, bro, like, he chinned Michael Johnson not long ago. Michael Johnson's just outside of the rankings. He's coming off of a dominant win to Daniel Zellhuber, and then the win over Rebecca, that's fucking impressive, bro. Like, Rebecca to withstand the shots that he ate by Rebecca and to make it to the later rounds, to wear on him, to take him down, to ground and pound him, to threaten him in all aspects of his game. Diego Ferreira is just such a well-rounded, experienced fighter who can take down Hernandez, who can land shots on the feet, hurt you on the feet, and outpoint you and go forward and put the pressure on. I feel like what we're going to see here, if I was to predict this fight perfectly, I feel like round one we're going to see a bit of an even contest. Maybe Hernandez have a slight edge, and then when it gets into round two, I feel like it's Diego Ferreira's fight. Hernandez's output is going to drop. He's going to do what he does. He bounces. He throws like a 1-2 or a body kick, and he bounces and just goes backwards. I feel like he's going to go backwards a lot of this fight. Round two, round three, Diego Ferreira is going to take both of those rounds and either win a 29-28 decision or get a round three stoppage. If this fight turns into a dog fight and very, back and forth and they're throwing heavy, I trust in Diego Ferreira more than I would trust in Hernandez. Hernandez has been KO'd by cans. Diego Ferreira's got that dog in him, and he showed that against Rebecca. If he can beat MMA math doesn't make sense, but if he can beat Rebecca, he can beat Hernandez. Trust me, Rebecca wipes the floor with Hernandez. So Diego Ferreira is going to be our underdog of the week here. If I had to pick, I would say decision. I would say a 29-28 decision. I will not be surprised if he takes him down, he wears on him. He has a very well-rounded fight, mixes up his weapons correctly, teeps to the body, leg kicks. One thing I like about Diego Ferreira, he's not a single shot type of guy. He doesn't just go out there and throw a jab or look to throw the counter two. He throws his shots. He throws a 1-2, then he's throwing a body kick, then he's shifting. He's cutting off angles of the cage. He's backing you down. Next thing you know, he's shooting a double leg. I really like the well-roundedness of Diego Ferreira in this one. So we are very confident in Diego Ferreira as our underdog of the week. Now, before we get into our props, and if you are new, we always give our plus money props. I just want to go over a couple of fights to be careful of. Number one is, where is it? Zach Reese. Zach Reese is dog shit. Don't bet on him. Like I said before, if you guys like to do your parlays and you like to just sprinkle some money on some random bets, it's not worth putting Zach Reese in. I've seen a lot of guys very confident in him this week. I don't know why they're so confident in him. If they watch his last fight against Dusko Todorovic, who's also on this card, he looked trash. Like, it was a close fight. Zach Reese just doesn't own cardio. Like, I won't be surprised if I think this is a very close fight. I think if Zach Reese doesn't get him out of there in round one, it's Cedricus Dumas. So if you guys are watching, wait till round one and look to place a live bet. If Zach Reese doesn't get him out of there in round one, he starts breathing heavy at the end of the round, look to place a live bet because Cedric Dumas does have experience. He does have some half decent wins. Ottoman Azaitar, Cody Brundage. Cody Brundage fucking picked up and slammed Zachary Reese. I'm not saying that Dumas is going to do that, but I'm just saying he's got some bad losses. Azamat Bakoyev also KO'd him. He is very chinny and he doesn't own cardio. So if he doesn't if he doesn't blitz him inside 3 minutes and get a body kick TKO or just blitz him and get a TKO, I honestly think Cedricus Dumas is going to win this fight. Dusko Todorovic hurt him in the last fight. He had a very sloppy and terrible performance. So it's just there's no value. There's no point putting him in your parlays here. The value is on Cedric Dumas. I feel like Cedric Dumas, if he is going to win, he's going to win in round 3. There's no point betting on Zach Reese. He's absolutely terrible. So just be careful. That's just a little caution there. Another fight to be careful with your parlays is Alice Pereira. No, she's not Alex Pereira's sister, but she is 19 years of age and she does not have the experience that Monstrat Rendon has. Monstrat Rendon has semi-decent wrestling and grappling. Alice Pereira is a kickboxer. Don't be surprised here if this is going to be very similar to Raul Rosas and Christian Rodriguez. Alice Pereira comes in as a favorite. She gets taken down and grinded out for 3 rounds. So just be semi-careful with this. Alice Pereira could go out there, make a statement, could look like a future women's bantamweight star in the making and get a TKO, but there's a very strong possibility. You fight a girl who's got some experience in the UFC, who's got some experience, more experience than you, is older than you, who does have the wrestling, who can dictate where the fight goes essentially. Be careful. I'm not saying Rendon's going to win, but I wouldn't. What I'm saying is I wouldn't bet on Alice Pereira. I wouldn't bother putting her in the parlays. It's not a confident favorite to put in, as per Zach Reese. Any more props we want to talk about? Yeah, the Rob Font versus David Martinez fight. Like I said before, boys, if you can't go from fighting Simon Oliveira to Rob Font. You can't do it. Rob Font's been 5 hard rounds with Aldo, 5 hard rounds with Cheeto Vera, Adrian Yanez, Gene Matsumoto. I thought he lost to Gene Matsumoto. It was very clear in his last fight, but still, like a competitive fight with Gene Matsumoto, who's very good. David Martinez, he's young, he's raw, he doesn't have the experience that Rob Font has. You can't go from fighting Simon Oliveira, who I believe isn't even in the UFC anymore. It was terrible. I don't think he owns a UFC win, to fighting Rob Font, and he had a shitty win on the Contender Series anyway. You know, it was a close fight, decision win. I just see like Rob Font versus Adrian Yanez all over again. Like prospect come in, you know, big jump up in competition and then get derailed. I don't think he's going to win in the same fashion. I'm picking Rob Font to win by decision. I feel like David Martinez, he loads up too much. He looks like every shot he throws is to look like a KO shot. He's trying to chin you with every shot. He's not just touching. He's not just touching, which is something that Rob Font does very well. He doesn't look for that KO shot. The KO shot comes to him because he's patient. He fights smart. He fights technical. Um, he's got very good experience too with a lot of former champions, Aldo, Davison Figueiredo. I'm picking, as well as Cody Garbrandt, 5 rounds. That's another champion. I'm picking Rob Font to win by decision. If I'm being honest, I feel like round one's going to be somewhat close. Maybe David Martinez has a slight lean. I feel like if he is going to win a round, it's going to be round one, and then Rob Font's going to pour it on him in round two, round three, start going forward, start establishing that jab, landing the low kick, and win a 29-28 decision. So again, David Martinez, too big of a jump up too soon against a much more experienced veteran. Yeah. There is a chance Martinez could go out there and land a big shot in round one and chin him, but I feel like Rob Font is defensively intelligent enough. He has that high guard. He doesn't fight like with a Philly shell or something retarded. Um, I feel like, yeah, Rob Font by decision. I'm pretty confident in that, so feel free to add that to your parlays. I think that's it. Oh, one more fight. Calvin Gastelum, Dustin Stoltzfus. A prop we're going to give out is Dustin Stoltzfus to win by submission, or sorry, oh fuck me, Jesus. If you want to be a bit more safe, just do Dustin Stoltzfus money line. Calvin Gastelum, who's the trust in Gastelum at this point? Dustin Stoltzfus is terrible on the feet. He's striking, technically speaking, is dog shit. He doesn't really have any threat with his kickboxing, just really with his 1-2s and his left hook. But he's not a good boxer technically. He does have some sort of power when he does let his hands go and trade in the pocket, as we saw with Marc-Andre Barriot when he KO'd him. But he's been chinned a lot. He's worn a lot of damage over the years. Gastelum never been KO'd. Dustin Stoltzfus will not knock out Calvin Gastelum, 0% chance. But what I do worry about here is Calvin Gastelum. He's not a fucking middleweight. He's a lightweight. You know, think about it. He's 5'10". Like, this is the same height as Charles Oliveira. Like, you are not a middleweight, bro. Like, go back down to welterweight, be disciplined, diet, lay off the tacos. Like, cunt, what the fuck are you doing back at middleweight again? You just got bitched by Joe Pyfer. So I feel like Dustin Stoltzfus here, he does have very underrated grappling. One fight that really stands out for me that I look back on is Dustin Stoltzfus and Punahele Soriano. Punahele Soriano is very similar to Calvin Gastelum. Reason number one, they're both southpaws, they're both strikers, they both have heavy hands. Reason number two, similar size. Punahele Soriano is a guy who fought at welterweight, who had fought at middleweight, who had some losses and went down to welterweight. He's bounced back between both divisions. He's truly a welterweight, and his last fight was at welterweight. Man, Dustin Stoltzfus is a lot bigger here. He's taller. He's got the longer reach. I feel like he could kind of, put that jab on Calvin, land the teeps and mix in the takedowns. He's a very well balanced guy. He has shown to have decent cardio. I feel like there's a very high chance we can see exactly what happened with Punahele Soriano and Stoltzfus happen here again. Maybe Calvin, wins round one, lands some decent shots. Now he's breathing heavy, he's on the back foot. Stoltzfus getting in his face, and he starts to, attack that single leg, get him down. And he is very threatening with submissions. We saw that in his last fight against Nursultan Ruzaboyev. He dropped him. He threatened the Darce choke. He threatened the guillotine. He has very good submission attempts off his back. He is active. He doesn't just look to stand there. I'm not necessarily picking Stoltzfus to win. If I had to pick, I would say Gaslam, but it is definitely a prop, and I will be sprinkling on Stoltzfus by submission. Um, there's a very high possibility that Calvin gets taken down in this fight. He got taken down by Brady. Obviously, Brady's an elite grappler, but he's been taken down a lot by a lot of different guys. I feel like Stoltzfus is the bigger guy. He's very experienced at middleweight. He's fought good competition. Um, he's shown that his grappling is good enough. If he goes out here with the right game plan, stays safe from Calvin's big left hand and gets the takedowns. If Stoltzfus gets a takedown with 3 or 4 plus minutes left in the round, there's a very high chance he submits him. Calvin's not that good on the ground. Stoltzfus attacks submissions. He's active. So, yeah, I like Stoltzfus in this one. I'm not necessarily saying he's going to win, but I am going to sprinkle on a Stoltzfus submission. That is one of the props we're going to give out. Another prop I want to give out is Jared Gordon, the last one. We're going to circle back to this fight. This is our last prop. Jared Gordon by knockout, $7.50, retarded. If he can knock out Thiago Moises, he can knock out Rafa Garcia. Rafa Garcia got TKO'd, quit and gave up against Grant Dawson. He just had a close fight with Vince Pichel. Jared Gordon's got power in his hands. I'm not going to be surprised at all. Rafa Garcia is spamming takedowns. Jared Gordon stuffing all of them. He fatigues himself. Jared Gordon starts pushing the pace, going forward, landing the big shots, going to the body, landing that left hook that he loves to land, and getting the TKO in rounds 2 or 3. So that's another very high prop that we're going to be sprinkling on too. Jared Gordon by knockout. So to summarise, lock of the week, leg number 1, Diego Lopes, Gene Silva, fight to go to round 2. So fight to start round 2. We just need the fight to go 5 minutes. Leg number 2, Jared Gordon, moneyline / head-to-head. Leg number 3, Tatiana Suarez by moneyline head-to-head. That is our lock of the week. That is over plus money. Enjoy your winnings there. And our underdog of the week, Diego Ferreira. A couple of props we gave out. We just wanted to give caution to the Alice Pereira fight and Zach Reese fight. If you are betting on that, be careful. Maybe look for a Cedric Dumas live bet if it goes to round 2. Couple of props, Stoltz for submission, Jared Gordon KO, Rob Font decision, and Diego Lopes, Gene Silva fight to go the distance. That's going to be it. That's going to be all of it for this week. That's our lock of the week, our underdog of the week, some plus money props for you guys. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate the support. The channel's been growing. We've been gaining some subscribers and more attraction and more viewers. I appreciate you guys who watch my videos. Obviously, I don't have a very large audience, but you guys liking the videos, commenting, sharing, viewing, whatever, it's greatly appreciated. So thank you guys very much.